In Ecuador, family members of assassinated presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio filed a complaint against President Guillermo Lasso for the fraudulent omission. In Guatemala, the Supreme Electoral Tribunal carried out drills for the second round of the 2023 general elections. In Ghana, Ecowas agreed on a D-date for the possible military intervention to restore democracy in Niger. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Ecuador, the electoral silence comes into force after the campaign for the presidential and legislative elections on next Sunday, August 20th, and this Thursday. For midnight local time and until the elections are over, political propaganda will be forbidden, a rule that applies to any act of proselytism but does not include disinformation in social networks. Ecuador is getting ready to hold its general elections scheduled for next August the 20th, and we continue learning more about the candidates running for the country's presidency. On this occasion, we present a profile of a candidate who, according to several polls, is competing for second place. We're talking about Yacu Pérez Huizi. Our correspondent, Elena Rodriguez from Ecuador, will tell us.
Yacu Pérez Guartambel is a 54-year-old Ecuadorian lawyer and politician. He left the ranks of Pachacutic shortly after 2021 general elections, in which he came in third place. In these elections, he aspires to the presidency of Ecuador under the umbrella of Claro que se pueda Alliance, formed by the Socialist Party, Unidad Popular y Democracia Sí.
Here's the new Ecuador. Here's the Ecuador of the future. Here's the seed of the new country. Here they are, drop by drop, to build this mighty river that will irrigate the Amazonas, the mountains, the coasts, the Galapagos, and all the places where are our brothers and sisters around the world. Here's the river that will be unstoppable, because nothing and no one will stop it.
Pérez is well known in Ecuadorian politics. In 2013, he was president of Guaranari, one of the grassroots organizations of CONAIE. During that time, he maintained a position of opposition to the government of Rafael Correa. Today, he does not have the support of the indigenous movement.
We're going to work for the Pachacutic movement. Those who are not within the movement will not have the support of the grassroots. And those who, under the pretext that they have moved on to the electoral campaign, who fought against mining and now say that they are going to be candidates. We're fighting for water against mining and now say that they will respect 100% of the mining concessions, despite the fact that all concessions are illegal because they never consulted the people, the nationalities.
In 2019, he won the prefecture of Azuay, but resigned 2 years later to run for the presidency of Ecuador. Analysts consider that despite his progressive and environmentalist discourse, ideologically he cannot place himself on the left.
I do not know what it is, because I think it is an image, and with that image, many things have come behind it. And until we see the substance, we cannot place it in progressivism or on the left. Or on the right. What we see so far are neoliberal proposals and an ecological image. which we should also see, from a political ecology perspective, what answers it can give to the problems of the people.
His running mate is Nori Pinella, university professor and researcher. His government plan speaks of 4 X's: citizen and social security, economic security and inclusion, ethical and legal security, ecological security, and risk prevention.
Yaku Perez is for me a character of absolute and profound contradictions, who is also absolutely utilitarian. We see, for example, the anti-meaning discourse, which today is being more subtle. If we review his work plan, we see that it's not so radical. He already talks about evaluating meaning, concessions, and beyond the fact that this can be good or bad, per se, he has been modifying his discourse according to political convenience.
According to several pollsters, with less than a month to go before the elections, he disputes the second place with Otto Solholzner, with around 10 percentage points of voting intention, and it's approximately 20 points below of candidate Luisa González.
Elena Rodríguez, TeleSUR Ecuador.
In Ecuador, family members of Fernando Villavicencio filed a complaint against President Guillermo Lasso for fraudulent omission after the candidate's assassination on August 9. The family's lawyer, Marco Yaulema, expressed that these denouncements to the Ecuadorian states are due to the lack of security guarantees for the life of Fernando Villavicencio, despite the death threats against him. Yaulema explained that for them, this is a state crime, but that it will depend on the investigations carried out by the Attorney General's office and the elements of conviction that are presented.
We are denouncing the Ecuadorian state for the crime of murder, typified and punished in Article 140, paragraphs 9 and 10 of the Penal Code, but this is in accordance with Article 28 of the same legal body. That is to say, there was a fraudulent omission. Fernando Villavicencio was already threatened by the mafias. He was already threatened by the mafias and everyone knew it. The entire state knew it. There was absolutely no security. We are saying that the Ecuadorian state did not guarantee the life of a candidate for the presidency of the Republic.
In Ecuador, National Police arrested 4 alleged perpetrators of the crime of former mayor of Manta, Agustin Intriago. Police Commander General Fausto Salinas and Interior Minister Juan Zapata gave a press conference to announce the process of the investigations and operations related to the murder of Intriago. Security agencies detailed that the crimes occurred when a former mayor was taking a picture with a citizen and a hired assassin got out of a pickup truck and shot him twice in the back. Let's take a very short break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account, teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. In Guatemala, the Supreme Electoral Tribunal carries out the simulation for the second round of the 2023 general elections. The drill seeks to establish if there are many failures or situations that need to be addressed and has the participation of more than 5,000 people distributed throughout the country and in some cities in the United States. Those involved carried out coordination, digitization, and digitalization of information and other tasks related to the data transmission process. In El Salvador, the Supreme Electoral Tribunal declared inadmissible the request to reject the registration of President Nayib Bukele's candidacy for the re-election. The TSE declared that since defects had been identified in the petitioner's claims, it should be declared inadmissible. In view of the rejection of the request, lawyers of the National Opposition Union points out that the magistrates of the TSE have violated the Constitution of the Republic. U.S. President Joe Biden met with leaders of Japan and South Korea at the first trilateral summit in Camp David to forge new alliances. Biden received on Friday his South Korean counterpart Yoon Kun-yeol and the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida at the president's countries of residence. According to the White House communique, the tripartite summit will issue a joint statement establishing a shared security perception and interests with reference not only to China, but also to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea and the Russia-Ukraine conflict. In Greece, at least 90 migrants have rescued in the Aegean Sea. The undocumented migrants were taken to the island territory of Leros, where they will be identified and processed. The Coast Guard said that several patrol boats and 3 civilian vessels took part in the rescue. Russian President Vladimir Putin met with his Iranian counterpart Ibrahim Raisi to discuss the implementation of economic agreements between both nations. The Deputy Chief of Staff for Political Affairs to the Iranian President Mohammad Jamshidi said on his Twitter account that both presidents discussed via telephone the latest developments in the Caucasus region and the process of economic agreements, particularly the international north-south transport corridor, among other key issues. On Friday, the fighters made progress in the fight against a huge wildfire on the Spanish holiday island of Tenerife that has forced the evacuation of thousands of people. The fire, which broke late on Tuesday, has been raging through a forest area with steam province in the northeastern part of the island, which is part of the Spanish archipelago that lies off the coast of northeastern Africa. Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and active the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. We'll find a short break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Ghana, the Economic Community of West African States, Ecowas, agreed on a date for possible military intervention to restore democracy in Niger. The information was provided by the bloc's Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, Abdel Fattah Musha, during the closing ceremony of the 2-day meeting of West African Army Chief in Ghana. The chief met to fine-tune details of the potential military operation to restore the Basums if ongoing negotiations with the coup leaders fail.
Ready to go anytime the order is given. The D-Day is also decided, which we are not going to disclose. There will be no more meetings of the chiefs of defense staff. Tomorrow, there is the possibility of an Ecowas mission going into Niger to continue to pursue the peaceful path, to restoration of constitutional order. So I don't think we must focus on the military aspect. We are ready to resolve it peacefully, but it takes two to tango.
In Angola, President João Lourenço called on the member states of the Southern African Development Community to speed up the ratification of the operationalization of the Development Fund. The request was made in the context of Angola's acceptance of one-year rotating presidency of the SEDEX. President Lourenço pledged to work on diversifying the sources of funding for projects and programs at member states and regional levels. According to João Lourenço, during his presidency, there will be a strong focus on human capital, with the main challenges being the training and technical vocational qualification of young people. At least 28 civilians were killed earlier this week in Niger after violence reports in several southwestern villages. According to a senior official in the Tillabéri region where the violence took place, The incidents affected 4 departments and began at dusk on August the 15th and ended in the middle of the day on August the 16th. In India, the G20 health ministers meeting was held in the capital of the state of Gujarat. India's Minister of Health and Family Welfare announced the completion of the talks and the adoption of the final documents of the meeting. The senior official noted that except for a political paragraph on Ukraine, consensus was reached on the rest of the document. In Pakistan, civil societies, activists, and members of the Christian communities demonstrated in Karachi in solidarity with Christians after a mob attack. More than 80 Christian homes and 19 churches were vandalized when a Muslim mob rampaged through the streets over an alleged blasphemy. Christian groups held a series of protests throughout the country calling for the greater protection. The provincial government's announced on the investigation is into the event.
We hope that through this protest, the government must realize that this issue must be dealt with sternly, and those who committed destruction must be brought to justice.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook and Twitter and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.